Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of End of Twins. In this episode, we are joined by Ohad Shaked. He's been a founder and investor for over 2 decades. In his latest venture called ThinkUp, he's helping founders to find product market fit. Mark and I really enjoyed his views on investment as well as finding product market fit. I'm sure you can learn a lot as well. So let's just jump right in.
Smart cities, I started it with a different methodology. Usually that's what I recommend to others and what other founders do. They look for problems, okay? Probably from the enterprise or things they've experienced themselves. I went down a different path. I spoke with a friend, a futurist, and I asked for a trend, a 10 years trend that nobody else is looking into. And I wanted to be the first. I had the resources, I had the time, and he recommended that we go for IoT. There's going to be a change in IoT. Uh, we weren't specific about the domain, the industry, but we thought about smart things, becoming more autonomous and more connected. And out of the pains and challenges of building that startup, doing the market research, the idea validation, building the product, the prototype, I came up with the idea to ThinkUp, to help other founders. I figured that if I'm suffering from this pain, other founders, less experienced, with less resources, might be experiencing the same pain. And
I
that's when ThinkUp came up.
Especially if you think about it, like back in the day, maybe like 10, I mean, we started our journey like roughly 8 or 9 years ago, but back then it wasn't that many methodologies. But nowadays there's so many different methodologies. So you get so confused, like which one should I follow? Should I go with this one or that one? But like there's so many ways to actually win, like paths to win, but like you just need to decide on which one. And that can get very confusing. So what does ThinkUp do exactly? Because you said it's for early stage founders. What is the service that you're offering?
Yeah. So, yeah, it could get very confusing. The journey, especially the beginning, the validation, the idea validation, and most founders don't do it right. So we try to map out the journey, the steps, the modules, the questions that you need to complete, the tasks, and provide it as a step by step guide. Dozens, maybe hundreds of questions and tasks that the entrepreneur has to do. It's a structured journey along with recommendations and suggestions from AI. So obviously you don't work alone. Today we're not used to, just doing all of the stuff by ourselves. AI does some of the work. So you make progress step by step. You complete items, you build your persona, your ideal customer profile, your market analysis, your competitive landscape. You do all of the foundations, all of the basic stuff for your startup. And eventually you have a pitch deck. You have a validated idea. Okay. It's not just your initial idea that could be, a bit off. You go through a process where you validate the problem, you validate your solution, you get more confidence, and you get a business framework, how to
So
reach your market and what's going to be your business model.
so basically it's from finding the idea to actually finding the first customers. Because in the end,
Yeah.
like if you want to go nowadays, go to investor, you need to have customers. Because in the
Yeah.
end nowadays, it's very, very hard to raise any money on
Yeah.
just an idea. So it's basically, yes, you have an idea. Okay, let's get your first customers. And of course, you all then like guide it with ThinkUp.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the market today is probably split into two. There are either founders that already done it. They have the experience, they have their brand, and investors put their trust in them and can put their money into them even if they don't have traction. But first time founders, they need to build more trust, more traction to get their first customers. And yeah, that requires a bit more effort.
What are the most common pitfalls? You mentioned earlier that well, founders they don't get it right on the journey at the beginning.
Yeah. It always comes down to interviewing. Interviewing, that's the hardest part. We can all sit down, at home with ChatGPT or any other AI tool or Claude and build our market research, conduct our market research, and look for some competitors and do some vibe coding, build a prototype, and those kind of stuff. Prepare a pitch deck. It doesn't take too long, but finding our market, our audience, reaching out to them, interviewing them, get their attention, analyzing their outputs, sometimes getting some negative feedback. All of this stuff are very hard to do. Maybe it's psychologically, we don't want to hear negative feedback. Maybe we don't have access to potential customers. Or maybe sometimes we think it's going to be okay even without it. We don't give it the significance that it should.
That
And
that remind
a lot of founders skip it, and then they don't get that into product market fit.
That reminds me a lot of you or a lot of entrepreneurs who just like always fail the mom test. So they're just like building a product and then like
Yeah,
they're just too afraid to talk to actual clients. So it's like, no, 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 the product's not yet ready yet, not yet ready yet. No, 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 we have to wait,
yeah,
etc.
Or
And
leading
then,
questions.
sorry.
Leading questions.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
This is a great product, right? And then they don't let the user, like for example, we see it ourselves, like in our latest startup as well. Like you're sitting next to a customer and you just need to hold your hand in front of your mouth because you don't want to like influence them, and you see their confusion, but you just need to hold yourself
yeah,
back to see, okay, these are the pain points that the user is actually facing, and then see how you can with UI or tool tips actually can solve these problems, because
yeah,
otherwise you will not be able to sit next to them 24/7, and if it's not clear yet, your product is not good enough for that user. So that's like the easy,
yeah.
it's the easiest and hardest thing at the same time.
Very humbling. It's very humbling.
Oh,
Exactly. I
100%.
I think, yeah, when you interview a potential customer, the golden rule is to speak only third of the meeting. Let your interviewee speak two-thirds of the interview. You want to listen to them. You don't want to be a presenter. You don't want to preach them your solution. And I think the entrepreneurship journey is one of the less selfish acts. You always have to think about someone else, not about your idea, not about your passion. You always have to think about what your customers really want. What are the pains and needs? How do they think? How do they feel? With what mindset are they onboarding your product? Always think about them.
How
That's
would you
I like that.
what advice would you give you to a first time founder who's just getting started, who hasn't talked to a customer yet? How should they approach it?
yeah. So you can start by your closest network and get some feedback from there. That's the easiest part. And social, try and engage people on social, post all sorts of questions and your hypothesis and your assumptions about the pains, the struggles of your potential customers, of your target audience. See if it resonates with anyone. If you gain more followers, if people react to your posts, and then if you can follow up with a conversation with them, one-on-one conversation with them, maybe the best playbook, but the hardest is to build your own community before you build your startup. Build a community of potential customer, the audience. That's the best way to get to know them and to get your first customers out of that community. But that's heavy lifting. If you can do that, you're a winner.
That also reminds me, Mark and I have always been saying that nowadays, especially, there's something we call not marketing co-founder, but audience co-founder. So basically, if you have somebody who is basically has already the audience and you can get them on board, because that's the distribution that you can get. Because nowadays it's getting so much harder well, let's put it this way, it's gets so much easier to build, but distribution becomes more and more important. And if you
Absolutely.
have somebody who is an audience co-founder, that makes it so much easier.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. The first time I hear this title, I love it. Yeah,
Thank you.
totally agree.
Distribution is king after all.
Yeah, distribution is king. Yeah,
Is
right.
there anything else? So that is just the early stages. Let's walk through the process of ThinkUp. So it's like it's an accelerator at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So let's say we sign up now to ThinkUp. We do the first stages. We know we want to focus on the beauty niche, for example. We do our first customer interviews. We know who our ideal customer profile is. What do we do next?
Um, you try to build your the high level layout, the high level capabilities of your product. Then map your competitive landscape, define your unique value proposition. Then you can move on to vibe coding, create your prototype, a demo, a video presentation, and get out of the building again, interview people again, show them your prototype, show your demo, and get their feedback on your proposed solution. Then you can move on, to go to market, where you're going to be your early adopters, your exact segment of the market that you're going to approach, through which channels are you going to approach them, direct or through partners, define your business model, where the money is going to come from, the financial model, obviously, how much money are you going to spend in the next 2 years, what are the milestones you're going to reach, product, marketing, financial milestones. And then you can move on to funding preparation, which is not just pulling out a pitch deck and reaching out to any investor. Funding is also a process with a methodology. You have to be prepared. You have to know which questions you're gonna be asked. Prepare the investment terms. All sorts of stuff.
This
This is
reminds
the
me in general of it's a very like funding yet. I mean, we did it once. Man, needed to talk to over 100 investors to get
yeah
in the end close
yeah.
around, especially here in Spain. It was it was a different process. And another thing is, for example, when you said like, okay, you talk to the customers. Um, nowadays everybody wants to see results directly, but how long would you, from your experience from people who joined ThinkUp, would you say is the process of, okay, you have my first customer, then I have my first revenue? How fast is normally this process from idea to first paying clients from your experience with ThinkUp?
Obviously it depends about your specific experience. At which
Yeah.
point in time did you onboard the product? Because sometimes people come after they've been around for 1 year working on their idea. It depends how, as you said, the audience co-founder, how close are you to your target audience? How is it for you to bring in new customers? But I would say, it could take a few months from idea to first customers. Could take 2, 3, 4 months, quite easily. And it depends how much are you committed, how much work are you putting into it, and are you doing a serious work? Because just completing the journey, anyone can do most of it, within 2, 3 days. That's not an issue. Just answer the questions, whatever comes to mind, whatever the AI recommends. That's not an issue. But if you do a proper work, if you go out, you interview, you research all the time, you get feedback, you build something, you get another feedback. It's an iterative process. There's not a lot of chances that everything's going to go right on your first attempt. You have to go back, update your persona, the needs, your product. Competitors change, the market change a bit. You find out new insight. You speak to different person, to different people every day, and you make adjustments until you get it right. And it's an iterative process that could take a few months.
My question that I have is, you as an investor, because we talked about also earlier that there's a methodology behind in raising money. You as an investor, what are normally the pitches that you see that actually work, and some of them like whole pitfalls, right? Through like some of these, man, I don't even look at them because they're not personalized, etc. That would be great.
Yeah. I want to see people focused on the problem not the solution. Knowing exactly who are their ideal customer profile, their persona, their pains, their needs, and what is unique about, then again, what's unique about their solution. And I want to see people that are focused. For example, we lately spoke to people that want to provide an all in one solution for construction.
Mhm.
And it sounds nice, you know. Construction people are working with dozens of software tools. Even I, in my company, I work with 40 tools, and it's
Wow.
fragmented. Yeah, it's fragmented. I know we all want to connect everything, but you know, it's difficult. It's a holy grail of developing one size fits all, one software that will provide marketing, operation, financial, administrative solution. So that's something that is a bit tricky. You know, I want to see one use case focused, one revenue stream, a simple problem that, or not just a simple problem, but one problem, specific problem that you're trying to solve, and specific value proposition, not scattered all around.
That
That's
reminds me a lot of what YC says. You want to have 100 people that love you instead of 1,000 people that like you, because in the end, the 100 people that love you will actually distribute you. Because the other ones are just like, it's okay. They will never
yeah,
never recommend you to anybody, and if you don't recommend it, then it's not the right product.
yeah, 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 yeah. I hear you. Absolutely.
Is there a specific niche that you were focusing on in your investments and also with ThinkUp, or is it just hey anything that's enabled with AI, or are you agnostic?
I'm more inclined into deep tech at the moment. Um, that could be, you know, quantum, energy, sometimes life science, neuroscience. So deep tech, that's my favorite, my preferred path at the moment.
And this is for you personally, for your family office, or is that for ThinkUp?
Yeah, personally. For ThinkUp, we're agnostic. We like everyone to step in and enjoy the action.
That's awesome. Actually, I have a few questions about that. If you, what is the favorite distribution channel that you have for what you see in the batches that come into ThinkUp? Specifically, because there's different business models, right? B2B, direct to consumer. What do you see? What are the trends that you're seeing?
For me personally, or for our users?
Let's do both. How about you
Yeah.
personally? And then afterwards, also what you see, everyone that comes to ThinkUp.
Well, you know, obviously we're first of all a B2C company. We're not working with organizations at the moment. So our main channel are social influencers, affiliate, things like that. We also tried working with communities, startup communities in Europe, a bit in the States. We got a lot of positive responses, but the unit economics didn't make sense. Not enough traffic, paid traffic for what we were willing to spend. So at the moment, we're focused on, you know, the social and influencers and affiliates, PPC, you know, search engine, AI engine, and I think on general note, most of us move into AI, the AI engine recommendations.
Yeah,
I think
AU.
that's yeah. But you'd be
Nice.
surprised that even Facebook today is still you can catch a lot of fish through Facebook. You know, even if it's an old timers platform. And obviously,
Oh,
this
I
is more
don't.
fun to see. Yeah,
I think it's like very interesting to see because it depends always where. Because like we have for example, our clients are mostly South Americans, and for them, Facebook is still like for the younger generations is still like the place to be, right? So it's like
amazing.
it's very interesting to see like whereas like the Western societies are more like
Yeah.
Facebook. My grandpa's using it, so it's completely different, which I think is like very very fascinating because you can
Yeah,
like still target younger people. Depends, of course,
yeah,
on the audience.
yeah. Don't rule it out. Yeah, it's not dead yet.
Uh, what is exactly? Could you explain what is exactly the ThinkUp business model? So is it like your percentage of investment? Because I saw that you also have up to 100K investment in pre-seed, but what is actually the business model?
Yeah, so we don't want to be investors ourselves. The 100K investment is just, for select few. That's not our main business model. We're not YC. We don't invest in our customers. We're SaaS, subscription based. And let's say it's a progressive subscription. It starts, with freemium, then moves up to tiers of 10, 20, $30 per month. And once you move up the ladder, make progress with your startup, it can go up as $70 a month, for funding preparation and even gaining your initial customers. Those are things that we will support hopefully by the end of the year. So
Nice.
it's a SaaS-based subscription SaaS-based.
Where are the most of your users currently based? Are they European? Are they in the US, South America, Asia?
US, US. This is our main focus. Most of the tech world is in the US. Most of the founders, the VC, the big techs, the AI. So we made a clear decision to focus on the US, and we will move most of our or some or most of our operation in the next few years probably to US if it's gonna make sense.
Yeah, the US is massive and the opportunities there. It's the mindset is so different than Europe. And
Yeah,
I guess Israel is closer to the US when it comes to mindset. So what I heard, because before we worked with Overwolf
yeah,
as partners, and it's so different. It's like the US. And we're in
yeah,
Europe, we're like, man, I'm jealous. It's like yeah, it's like you
yeah,
gotta invest money to make money.
Yeah.
So
yeah, yeah. It's a similar mindset. The US, New York, the Valley, Texas. It's a similar mindset to Tel Aviv. Yeah, I hope that Europe can, catch up and be a driving force, make some breakthroughs. I'm not sure I'm seeing it at the moment. So the US is the natural decision, just a natural place to go.
I mean, it's the biggest market, which is basically English speaking, right? So that's the biggest market. If you can conquer that, you can make it. You don't have to go on different markets. Whereas it, for example, in Europe, yes, you might have a 500 million potential, but in the end, it's like everybody's different languages. I don't know how many languages there are. So each
Yeah,
market you have to target different, which makes it complete. Like we see it ourselves right now. I mean, like we right now doing everything in Spanish, but at the same time, it's like should we really do that or just go all in because we have our earlier customers here, but it's like,
yeah,
should we really like struggle with this or just go directly to the US? That's
yeah,
always a question.
yeah. For me, um, it's a bit of a different market behavior. If I can get for my platform success stories in the US, the rest of the world will follow. Okay, that's the nature of our ecosystem, the tech ecosystem. Everyone looks up to the US looks up to the Silicon Valley. So gaining traction and success stories in Poland, for example, is not the same as in New York. So it would be a bit harder in New York to get their attention. But once they do that and get some success stories, Poland, the UK, Germany will look up to it. So it's a different market dynamics. And it's also the reason why we chose the US.
I've never thought about this. It makes total sense, and it's just like it's so obvious, but
Yeah.
I never thought about it this way because I yeah, because it always is the US first, and then you see trends swapping over to the bigger markets here in Europe.
Yeah.
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 Ah, that's smart. What I want to be a little bit selfish here. I have a question.
Yeah.
So, how would you pitch a fintech business that helps the token not tokenization but securitization of assets? to investors, and where would you go for investors in that? Is it better to do that in Israel, Europe, the US? Because we have a friend who's doing that right now. He already has some clients, he has the legal work done, everything, but he's now want to raise a bigger round. What would be your recommendation?
Yeah, living in Swiss, I see a lot of crypto and Bitcoin exchange and advertisements. I think regulation is in favor here, so Switzerland and banking and finance could be a great place. I think also in Israel, you could find great potential. Everything depends on the price of the Bitcoin that moves the needle for the market, for the investor sentiment. I'm
Wait,
not
let me be specific. Sorry, I miss. So it is not about tokens. It's not about crypto. It's
oh,
literally getting, if you have an asset, let's say a super rare Ferrari, he helps you to write basically an ISN code so that you can go on a stock exchange and you can directly have it liquid. So you can have all your other friends buy some part of your Ferrari and then they'll be part owners of it. And that's what he's doing. Hopefully I explained
ah,
it well.
amazing, amazing. Yeah, like a bit like people are trying to do with real estates, with apartments. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I see. That's probably heavily regulated. I'm not sure what the stock market would allow to do. Um, financially, it's all about New York, London. These are the biggest places, the biggest players. That's where I would go. Um, Other than that, I didn't have a lot of experience in the last 2, 3 years with tokenization of assets, so I can't say much more than that.
Well, no worries. Already helpful. Thank you. I just want to be a little bit selfish here and ask
Yeah,
this.
I see a lot of
I'll just be.
Ferraris around here, but yeah, go ahead and tokenize them.
I
I
mean,
mean,
maybe Switzerland it is.
I think he has a couple one customer from there. So that's like interesting to see in general. Because like, yes, you always want to go where the richest people are. Because like in the end, you don't want to tokenize or your I don't know golf or whatever it is. You want to have like maybe it's your yacht or your private jet,
Yeah,
etc. Which is just makes it so much
Well,
easier.
I'm not sure about these because these are depreciation assets. I don't know.
Yeah, true. Maybe your Ferrari, 6-year-old Ferrari old
That you
timer.
don't drive. That you don't drive. Important that you don't drive.
it's in the garage. It's
Exactly
kept
in the
safe
garage.
in the garage.
Underneath the cover and everything is still original parts.
Maybe you can go to luxury retail. Hermes bags, I heard it cost 50Ks and they just go up in value over the years.
It is so
So,
wild. Like
yeah,
it is so wild. These
And
bags.
Birkins. I think they're called Birkin. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
Belkin,
even
Belkin, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
You think about how much you spent, what, 20,000, and then there's a waiting list of like 6 months or longer, and it's
yeah,
like similar to a Ferrari. You need to first buy the standard one, and once you bought the standard one, you get on a list,
yeah,
and once you're on the list and you have spent enough money with them, you're allowed to buy the
yeah,
the,
yeah,
the other models. I mean, it's basically the same playbook, just for one is for men and the other is for women,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
which
Same
is
for
wild.
Rolex. Yeah,
Yeah,
Rolex. Yeah,
exactly. You're on the Rolex. Oh, sorry, we
On the
sadly we
waiting
don't have
list.
that model right
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah,
And it just sold out. But let me
yeah,
put you on the list, and then
yeah,
I don't know, every few weeks, it just comes back into stock out of nowhere, and it's like, hey, what do you want to check out this Rolex? We just got it in, but I can't make sure. I can't just save it for you for
yeah,
long
yeah,
because it will be sold out very quickly.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
do you
yeah,
do
yeah.
you
Creating
do a lot of
demand.
investment with
Yeah.
yeah, smart, right?
Yeah,
You do a lot of investment or you do investment with your family office, so also on the private side. What are the alternative investments that you've thought of or looked into? For example, I don't know, my newsfeed, I see Pokemon cards. Like some like Jake Paul, I think sold his Pokemon card for 10 million or something. Like, are there some things that you are following like that's not mainstream and like, man, this is interesting. This is not unless you only invest in businesses, but I'm sure like diversification is a thing. And nowadays, I don't know, is there something that you looked into like, Wow, that was surprising to me.
Yeah, everyone talks and likes diversification, real estate, hedge fund, things like that. My bankers always talk about diversification, buy gold, things like that. To be honest, I'm not into it. And I like to focus as much as I can on equities, the stock market, tech. I think that's the main growth, the highest growth they're going to be. No volatility, yeah, I know, but that's the main growth. We see this, the Magnificent Seven. They're all tech companies, high above all the rest. So I don't do any hedge funds, commodities, real estate, gold, things like that. I almost bought some Bitcoin, just recently, but then I chickened out and moved back to good old equities.
Honestly, I love equities. What is your thought on now AI is moving mountains and I feel like the base layer? So I'm a big fan of NVIDIA. What are your thoughts on NVIDIA and possibly AMD?
Yeah, I just saw about NVIDIA's GTC, the latest conference. It's amazing. They're buying all the stock, all the manufacturing raw materials. They're getting into everything, you know, all the physical AI. It's amazing. Jensen looks like he's got everything under control, everything working for him. I'm bullish, not sure about the market cap, but I'm bullish. It looks like it's going great. And the biggest names in the world are standing in line to get his chips. Larry Ellison, Sam Altman, Elon Musk all want to get his chips. Unless someone else, starts to manufacture. Google, Musk, OpenAI, everyone's going to try to develop their own chips. Not sure if they're going to be successful,
I
but
mean,
it's
the
looking good for Nvidia at the moment.
the biggest problem is in general, of for example, AMD chips are also like very, very good, but the biggest problem is that NVIDIA, I think 2003 or 2004, brought out or released CUDA, the software, and then every AI developer is basically just like using, because it's a language, right? It's a coding language in the end. It's everybody's using that, and then it's like very hard, even though the chips from AMD might be as good as the NVIDIA ones. But if you're used to that language, using it, you're basically locked in not on a hardware level, but on a software level. So it's like a software trap because you taught them over like decades. So, for example, he started with universities, and then later, like they keep using it. So it doesn't matter if AMD brings out new software, even better chips, because in the end, if you still use CUDA, the software itself, you will still buy on NVIDIA chips.
The question is, unless AI at some point you can just recode it.
But yeah, I mean, we've seen it also with Google, right? They're all trying, but in the end, it's like so far, right? The only thing that's been working is Nvidia. I mean, you see Grok, yes, it's different part, but are they actually you? I'm not sure, but
Yeah, but okay. Grok is amazing for directly. It's not. It's horrible for training. I'm sure you're familiar with Grok, right? Not Elon Musk Grok, but the other one that Nvidia license. And it's fascinating how they are building and will have an LPU, which is I think 10 or 20 times faster than Nvidia's chips, but you can't use them for training, which is like again the niche down for just execution, but not for the rest. And
Okay.
Nvidia now licensing it is just insane. I think they did it for couple billion, 110. I don't want to lie. They
Okay.
have a specific deal with them just for the licensing for I think the next 5 to 10 years. It's really really interesting to see, and I agree. I'm Team Green.
20
Team
billion.
Green. We're gamers. Like Team Green
I
here.
mean, in general, I would never mess with somebody who has on his arm an Nvidia tattoo, right? His own company. I'm like, yeah, man. I mean, this guy means business.
Yeah, it means business. Yeah, but I just heard, maybe there's an opportunity to buy Intel or AMD, if other people don't want to be dependent on Nvidia, like maybe Musk himself, he can do everything. If he wants to be vertically aligned, to vertically control everything, that could be a
he he
play.
he just announced 2 days ago, not actually the 19th, Fab. He wants to create his own biggest mega factory in Austin to have also chips. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why, of course, he wants to do that. But
big dreams.
wrapping this up,
Yeah.
what are big failures that you had in your entrepreneurial career, and what were the biggest learnings out of these?
My first investment was in a water purification company. The founder came up to me and he told me, "Look, I've got lots of VCs on my board. They're causing me problems. They don't know how to run the business. They're ruining it. Join me and let's make changes." That was the first mistake when I realized he was the problem and the other VCs were doing the right thing. We had to moving out. I then moved on to invest in another company, more services oriented. I didn't know what I was getting into, and I built the investment valuation, built on a rather thin assumption. The main revenue stream was from heavily regulated domain line of business, and in that environmental services domain, and then the government didn't support it anymore. So lots of the business went away, and there are lots of other mistakes, but the biggest accomplishments were when we were making changes, to management, bringing a new CEO, a new direction. You make mistakes all the time, but you have to be fast, make changes. Suddenly the company moves to another direction under different management, different strategy. So you always have to be active, even if things go wrong, make changes and try to improve all the time. So I mentioned, the accomplishments. Just you're gonna fail, a lot of times. Just try keep improving. Ask yourself, what can you do better? Make changes in your strategy, the people that you employ. Just keep on moving.
What is some life advice you would give someone who's just starting off with his career and he has the choice between learning somewhere, going to an entrepreneur that and learning at him, like at this company, or starting his own business? What would you tell this person?
So being an entrepreneur or
Working for someone in a scale up, for example, he now working in a company that's already 50 people, and you can learn in that space directly.
Yeah. Well, my personal experience, I joined my late father 20 years ago when I was early in my career. I'm not sure if that was the smartest decision. Still, 20 years later. On one end, I think you should join Scale Up, move up the ladder, do various jobs, hold various titles, be a team leader, do something in sales, in marketing, tech, in product, operation, and then you can move on to being a manager, an entrepreneur. That's one route you can go. But if you're looking to move fast and hard, if you have the energy, if you have the stamina, the resilience, maybe you can start with entrepreneurship. It depends on your character and the resources that you have. If you can do that and bring other people along the way, get their advice, don't work alone, prepare, learn the startup journey, because there are a few dimensions, as I mentioned. Being an entrepreneur is about knowing lots of stuff, how to create your team, HR, how to do sales yourself, how to do marketing. You mentioned the audience co-founder. You have to bring in your audience. You have to be a product manager at first. You have to understand the financial, what it means. So, there's a lot of learning to do as an entrepreneur.
Why are you not sure if that was the right move, directly starting with your father?
Because it was a bit too fast, and my father wasn't the one to teach me. I joined him to help and to learn, and he told me right very soon after we started. He said, "I don't know what to teach you. I'm retired. I'm a doctor, and I'm not a businessman. Yeah, I did a lot of money, but I don't know how to teach you. And I didn't have a teacher. I didn't have the time to grow and develop. And there was lots of chaos there, lots of investment, high risk, no one to help me. So that was a very long learning experience, very hard.
You exactly, it was very hard. That's also, I think, that's led you in the end to ThinkUp, right? Because in the end, if you think about it, you never had somebody to guide you, and now you have. That's why you start building. It's always funny when you look backward how all the dots connect. How Steve Jobs would say. But yeah, Ohad, where can people find you?
Well, just go to thinkup.global. We're out there on the web. You can find us on Instagram, on LinkedIn. Just, sign up to our platform, start using it. Me and my team are available for you. If you get stuck on your journey, we're here to support you, to meet you. And you've got the usual standard AI chats and mentors inside the platform. And we're also available for you for calls, Zoom and support calls, video calls. We would be happy and delighted to see you and help you change the world.
Awesome. Thank you, Ohad. I really appreciate you taking the time and giving us some life lessons.
Yeah, thank you
appreciate
guys.
it a
Thank
lot.
you for your time.